can change one thing about you, yeah. Oh, 'cause you're beautiful. And I don't mind telling the world about you, yeah. You're beautiful. And what about the way you love me? And the way you squeeze me.
What this show is about. Simply beautiful. Let me take you down and put you back up. Here we go. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? This is a beautiful day, a beautiful Sunday. Sounds like the internet's acting a little crazy. It sounds a little slower than usual, but we're going to keep it moving. You are tuned into Intellectual Radio's Voices of Change, and my name is Jenna, and I'll be your host this evening. That vocalist that you heard singing Simply Beautiful is Dante Hall. He's a Chicago artist, and his name is Dante Hall. And ironically, that's the theme of the show today. It's Simply Beautiful. So, today is September 25th, the last Sunday of September. And that means that we have 3 months till Christmas. I know you guys are counting down. 3 months till Christmas. Everyone who listens to the show know that I start off with a scripture. And I want to get straight to the show because we have such an exciting show today. So I want to get straight to it. So I'm going to start right off with the scripture. And the scripture I'm going to read is from 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 and 4. And it goes, "Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight." That's a beautiful scripture, and that just goes right with the theme of Simply Beautiful. The theme of the show, again, is Simply Beautiful and dedicated to all the sisters and brothers who have had breast cancer. This is the last week of September, and it marks, as we all know, October marks Breast Cancer Month. So we're starting early here. Tonight, I'm going to be featuring a few models. I'm hoping to have like 3 or 4, but it doesn't matter. We have a few of them that are here waiting in the green room now. They took part in the Athena division of the Grace Project. And the Athena division of the Grace Project is presenting a photography exhibition featuring active military and women veterans affected by breast cancer. These courageous warriors took part in a photo shoot exposing the devastation and often scars that accompanies this disease. So what is beauty? Beauty is a subjective term that cannot be applied to any sort of look or being. See, the media tells us that in order to have worth in yourself, you must abide by the rules and find yourself physically appealing by the rules that they set. Conformity breeds this rigid guideline that in turn tears down more people than it aims to please. So what is beauty? You know what beauty is? Choice is beauty. Laughter and happiness and self-acceptance is beauty. Being able to look back on your life and knowing that you did things for the sake of your own peace of mind and not for anyone else's misguided judgment is beauty. Knowing that you are worth the world and every positive thing that it has to offer is beauty. Even if beauty is not the goal, comfort creates inner beauty that make life worth living to the fullest potential imaginable. I hope that this generation and future generations can grow to be strong and tall and see everything about themselves and their choices to be beautiful. Being alive and taking control of your life is beautiful. So now we're going to welcome these beautiful ladies to the studio. I'm going to start off with my special co-host. I'm so excited to have her. She was here before, maybe a year or so ago. Her name is Kenyatta Wellington, and she's the one responsible for bringing the ideal of the show to my attention. Help me welcome Kenyatta. Hey, Kenyatta, how are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm so excited.
I love having you on today.
Love
having you on here.
Thank you.
And let's see who else we're going to bring on. The next person we're going to bring on is one of the fantastic models, and she's going to tell us just a little bit about, because, I should know this, but I don't. She's going to tell me a little bit about where she's from and maybe what she did in the military, what branch. And her name is Ellen Lamb. Hello, Ellen. You're muted. You're muted. I just need you to turn it on so we can hear your beautiful voice.
Hi there. Hi, thank you for having me.
Sure.
My name is Ellen, and I served in the Navy. I was 5 years active duty and 4 years reserves. And I served as a cryptologist. I was stationed in Spain for 3 of those years.
Wow.
And, I started having some breast issues while I was in the active duty military, but nothing came of it then. And I'm happy to be here and to share my experience now. I am currently an empty nester. I have 4 children and my baby just moved out. So I'm a new empty nester finding myself, and glad to be here.
Good, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Our next visitor, she comes all the way. She's going to tell us. We're going to let her come on. She's been doing the circuit, doing our kind of little shows and stuff. So we're going to have her come in. Her name is Tamika Blair. Hello, Tamika.
Hello, Janice.
Tell us where you're from and tell us what you did and what branch you're in.
Okay, I am originally from Washington, D.C. I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a neighborhood called Palmer Park, Maryland, where the famous boxer Sugar Ray Leonard came from.
Oh, thank you.
I am a United States Army veteran.
Okay. Wonderful. And we have another special model that we're going to bring on. And I'm going to introduce her, and you're going to hear her name again. So just keep it in mind. Her name happens to be Liz Blackman. And Miss Blackman, if you don't mind telling us where you're from and what branch you're in.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I am Liz Blackman. I'm currently living in Northern Virginia. My family is Wisconsin, and my in-laws are Florida. With the military and Department of Justice, we traveled all over. I am a United States Army veteran.
Good for you. Very good. Very good. I'm going to bring in a few comments. Now, I want everyone who's listening to the show, don't be shy. If you want to have a comment, give us a comment. Let us know something. Say hello to the beautiful ladies. I think we're going to start off with the video. I am so excited about sharing this video. Let me kind of, I have to set it up. So just give me a minute and I'm going to set it up. In the meantime, feel free to chat or whatever. It's only going to take me a minute to cue this up. Everyone is so nice and quiet. Why are you guys so quiet? You don't have to be quiet. Believe me, this is something that, for this show, I want everyone to feel really comfortable and really at home and just, be very interactive. There's no particular guidelines.
Okay.
Before showing the
I'm
video,
glad to see you, ladies.
I'm glad to see y'all too.
Here we go. I think I have it up. Before showing it, I want to let anybody know who's in the audience, who's looking at it. If you have any children in the home, I'd probably say under the age of, I don't know. Let me think. Under the age of, when something's PG, what age is that normally?
13.
13?
Oh.
Okay, 13. If they're under the age of 13, then you may want to have them leave the room. Or you may not. I mean, it's up to you. So, yeah, this is acting a little bit weird today. Okay. Where's my mouse? My mouse isn't working anymore. Okay. I have some more. Good. I have some more comments, so I can read those before I start. And someone said, thank you for your service, Joyce. Thank you for saying that. And Sonia Lee. Thank you all for being so brave and sharing your journey. Absolutely.
That's my cousin.
Whose cousin?
Mine.
Oh, it's your cousin. Oh, Sonia. Okay. Good. I'm glad you checked in. Good. And we also have Armanda Killingham. Hello, everyone. Hello, Armanda. It's good that you're tuning in. Now I'm going to make an attempt to share this. Let's see how we are doing. So it's going to give me a hard time, right? It's always how it is.
So who's going to be in DC next week for the exhibition, the exhibit at the Women's Memorial?
I hope to go this week.
Or this week?
Yes. It's, yeah.
Yeah, my mouse is really acting crazy.
We are soldiers in the military, and breast cancer is in the world as well. And we do, it's a fight. And this is still somewhat invisible fight.
I don't know why it's not letting me share this, and it's really getting on my nerves because I really want to share it. But because I'm not able to share it, I'm not going to get down about that. We have a person here who was actually in the video, and if she would be so kind as to kind of, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about the video and the experience.
So this was right after, I was so blessed to be able to be part of the project, and right at the Women's Memorial with Sharice. And right after we took our pictures, she asked if I minded if I would do a video, the other young lady that I was with and we spoke about that and talked about that breast cancer is like a battle, and that a lot of people don't realize the battle doesn't end right if you get a mastectomy or if you have chemo, radiation. That's not the end, because there's so much more continuous. It's a continuous battle, and a lot of times it's hidden because people don't see, once your chemo, your hair is back or whatever, that people don't understand that somewhat. And also talked about the disproportionate, and it's been a lot about Camp Lejeune and the burn pits and things, how that affects military, but that directly affects the females in the military that have served are 20 to 40% higher risk of getting breast cancer. So we talked about that just a little bit.
But the interesting thing also is that you were so vulnerable. What I noticed about the video, and I really wanted to display it, but you actually had a portrait of yourself exposing your breast, whatever scars were there, or whatever scars weren't there. Some of them had them where you didn't have breast. How was that experience? How did the photographer interact with you? Were you afraid to do it?
Somewhat.
Okay.
And not really afraid, but so my daughter is 29, and
Okay.
she has never wanted to see any of my scars or any of it. She doesn't want to deal with that. And I've had a lot of surgeries. Even since that, I've got more scars since the photographs. And my husband, of course, doesn't want to see the scars. So really, I've never had anybody see the scars like that. So it was very vulnerable in that, but it was also very healing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the questions, co-hosts. We're going to start with just some dialogue, and some of you have kind of already touched on it, but if you haven't, feel free to jump in. The first one is, when were you diagnosed? At what age? How did you know? Oh, we have another panelist I'm going to let in. I just noticed that. We have another panelist, another beautiful lady. We're going to add her to, she is on, and her name is Cassandra Brunridge. Could you tell us where you're from and what branch of the Army you served in? Cassandra?
She's muted.
Oh, you're muted. Cassandra.
Can you see me? I don't see me yet.
I see you. Okay.
Okay.
We do now.
My name is Cassandra Brundage, and okay.
Does anyone know what branch she served in? I don't know. I didn't quite hear that. What branch did she serve in?
Can she hear?
Navy, I remember.
So I served in the Navy.
Okay.
Navy.
Okay.
Navy.
Is everyone, are we having an audio
Can you
issue?
hear me?
Can people hear
Yeah.
each other?
I can hear you.
Okay, I just want to make sure because it's going in and out. So the first question that I wanted to put out there, and anyone can answer it, is when were you
I can finish.
diagnosed? I'm sorry? Someone said something. Hello? When were you diagnosed and at what age?
I was diagnosed September the 17th of 2020. I was 50 years
Jared,
old.
I need you again.
I was 50 years old.
Okay.
And you asked, where was I?
Were you in active military? Were you?
Oh, no, I am a veteran. I am a
Okay.
veteran.
Okay.
So I'm currently a veteran.
Okay.
But I was diagnosed, after my military service. So
Wow.
basically that was just 2 years ago. So I've made a 2-year anniversary this past September.
I think it was interesting that she mentioned before that military women in all the branches have a higher probability of getting breast cancer. Did anybody know that, or did anybody talk to you about that before you went in, or while you were in, or during duty?
No,
Not at all.
nope. I didn't hear that until I met Charisse, and she's the one who, the photographer who told me that I
Okay.
was at higher risk. Yes. I'd already decided to have a mastectomy at that point, but she informed me that I was even at a higher risk because of my service.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Nobody actually ever talked to me about it, but it was known that some of the places and areas that you've served, some of the places you may have visited, even down to, the bases here in the United States. I'm sure that you guys have heard about the water issue that's going on that happened at Camp Lejeune. So we were, as military members, we are exposed to a lot of toxic things. Even to some of the old barracks where paint on the walls, the different types of paints that have lead in them. So you're exposed to a lot. And no one's telling you this stuff.
I think the men have the same problem, because I know a lot of men, particularly men a generation before you guys, who was in like Vietnam. They had the Agent Orange, and a lot of them, they had a higher probability of getting cancer, and they weren't told. A lot of them were trying to get disability benefits and everything, or given the runaround. So, I'm hoping that the government now is being kind of transparent and supporting you guys, and telling even new recruits and women that are coming in that even though there are some cancers that military personnel hardly ever get, like colon cancer and stuff like that, you hardly ever hear about that, I think because they're so active. But breast cancer, even men, from what I heard from my research, they have a higher propensity to get it too. So
that's true.
I think you have something there with that, with the toxins that you're exposed to. It's unfortunate doing the service and being exposed to that. What stage were you diagnosed at? Do you remember if it was the first stage? Someone said something.
Which one? Oh, I was stage 1B. I was 1B.
Okay.
1B due to the fact that it was extensive. I had what is called papillary. Papillary breast cancer is where most people that are diagnosed with papillary breast cancer are older women. They're older than I am. However, papillary was the type. However, it was diagnosed as extensive DCIS. So the cancer was still within the duct, but on both ends of the duct, it was coming out to be invasive. We caught it right at the very age, at the very stage of it starting to be invasive, but it went throughout the whole duct. So the entire duct 8 centimeters of my right breast had to be removed.
So they didn't do a mastectomy. You just had part
No,
of it.
a
A lumpectomy.
lumpectomy.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I have.
Now, from what I understand, and I may be wrong, there's someone on the panel that actually started out with precancer. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
That
that was you.
Nope, that would be.
Oh, okay. Did anybody want to talk about it when they started out with precancer?
Are you referring to me?
I'm not sure what
I had I guess I call it is I had atypical ductal hyperplasia, so I guess it's precancer.
Okay.
Yeah. And the prescription for that is 5 years of a tamoxifen, which is a anti-cancer medication to suppress it from becoming more like what Tamika had, where it spreads outside the duct.
Okay.
And after I had that diagnosis, I was genetic tested and found out that I had the BRCA gene mutation. And because so I'd started the tamoxifen, and then I got my BRCA mutation diagnosis, and it was recommended that I had a full mastectomy because the BRCA mutation puts you at an additional 50 to 60% chance of having breast cancer. And so in addition to the exposure from the military, that was an additional 50 to 60% chance. So I went through a full mastectomy as a precaution, a preventative mastectomy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a flat closure. And later I ended up having I just went through a deep breast reconstruction about 2 months ago.
Okay. Wow, you almost have to be a medical professional to even.
Yes.
I'm nervous.
No, you don't sound nervous. Those words. The only reason why I know because one of my sisters had breast cancer, and I remember talking to her, and I'm like, so what is that? So what is that? So you're kind of looking things up as she was talking about it. So that's the only reason why I'm familiar with it. So
and to touch back on males, I have 2 adult sons who both tested positive for the gene mutation as well. And one of them ended up having a mastectomy shortly after 2 months after mine because he had some male growth pattern that was considered cosmetic prior to his BRCA diagnosis.
Oh, so because you had them tested and they found out they had the BRCA. Wow.
This can impact men, and it also can cause pancreatic cancer in men. It can cause prostate cancer, skin cancer. So I believe there needs to be more surveillance in the military, from my experience, and in the VA.
Wow,
it definitely does.
Jolie had that same BRCA, and she had that too because she had it.
Yeah,
the risk was so high that she just said preventative. Just do this. Yeah.
I just experienced another surgery in the left breast where there was an area, even though we did a
question,
and the who's that?
I don't know.
Oh,
anyway,
the biopsy came back, even though it was benign. That area was still there. It was still showing from 2020. Where it wasn't really growing, it wasn't getting smaller, but kind of after really thinking about it, I went back to my surgeon and asked him to remove the area. So we were able
to just take it as a preventative.
I was just like, take these cells out, because the thing about it, the cells already had a jump start on me. So by taking them out, I, gave myself the ability to, the thing about the cancer, so the mutation of cancer, kind of by the time they diagnose you that they can really see that cancer there, it's been growing at least 2 years.
Oh, jeez.
It's already been growing at least 2 years. So it takes it's like a division. You understand how the division of cells that we learned in the body and biology. So it goes through a process like that when it's growing, when the cells are growing inside of you. So if you get ahead of something and remove it, you know, just as if, you know, like Ellen did, then you give yourself a better chance.
Right.
So even though it was benign, it very well could have turned into cancer.
Right.
Yes.
Simply because you have all this clumping going on and these cells are gaining strength. They're gaining strength each and every day. And what I have learned in my research, cancer grows at night when we're asleep.
At night? That's scary.
Yeah. It grows at night when we're asleep.
Liz, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes. I was diagnosed at age 51, and it was through a mammogram. I did all of my treatment with the VA, and I'm still going through the VA with my treatments. But it was invasive ductal carcinoma, but it was stage 1, grade 3. And
how many grades are they when it's like stage 1? How many grades do they go up to for stage 1 before it flips to stage 2?
It's 3 grades.
So it's separate. It's interesting. It's
it is
separate. The stage is the size of it, from my understanding.
Oh,
and the grade is how aggressive it is.
Thank you. See, I'm learning. See, thank
yes.
you. Okay,
Mine was small, but it was aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah, so mine was like a grade 2. It was growing.
Repeat that
like
again.
It just took over the entire duct.
Okay.
Entire duct. Yours, that's the one part that I didn't share about how I found my cancer. This may really shock a lot of people, but I had a dream.
Oh, I believe in dreams. Now,
I had a dream.
I believe in that.
And in the dream, a voice told me, "You have cancer."
Oh my God.
I woke up out of my sleep and I was looking around and I was like, I'm looking for the voice. I'm like, who was that talking? So my dog ends up walking into my bedroom and I'm like, okay, that was a dream. He was definitely in that dream. He wasn't. But all of a sudden I got a hair bump. You know how you get a hair bump from shaving?
Yeah.
And this hair bump, it started to, it intruded inward. Like it didn't, raise on the surface. It went inward. And I kept looking up, under my arm. And I'm like, what is this? Why is this going? Like, what? It just caught my attention. It was different. It was unusual for a hair bump. So that's what took my attention to this right side under this arm. And I'm just watching this and I'm watching this. And something is like, and then I'm feeling on this breast and I'm constantly under my arm. And then my gut, that intuition, my gut kept saying something's here. I don't know what it is. So I went to my doctor. I met my doctor years ago, more than 15 years ago. First thing I said to him, please understand 2 things. I hired you. You didn't hire me. And never dismiss anything that I say to you. Everyone that is watching right now, that is a takeaway that I am giving you for free. Mm-hmm. Let your doctors know they work for you. You don't work for them. And to never dismiss anything that you say to them. So with that type of relationship with my doctor, he listened. I told him, he did an exam. He said, I don't feel anything. I said, but something's there. And I pointed straight to it. And it's just, like I say, it's just kind of weird how all of that transpired. But he listened. We went and did a diagnostic mammogram. And they looked at the mammogram. They wasn't too sure. They did the ultrasound and they still wasn't sure. And the lady's like, oh, there's nothing there. And I said, you're not looking in the right place. And she was like, oh, yes, I am. And I was like, no, you're not. So I took the thing out of her hand. I said, give me that. So when she did, I lift that right breast up and I went straight to the area. I said, there it is right there. You see all that blood? That blood is traveling to that area. So I was able to read that. When I first got out the military, I took this medical assistant program course. I just wanted to see if I could do it. But I learned a lot of things there. So sure enough, when the radiologist came in there, he was like, "Ooh, this looks interesting. We need to do a biopsy on this." So, and that's how I found it. And that led me to, my surgeon, who's actually retiring October the 1st, and I'm so sad. I'm so sad. But when I walked into his office, he believed my story. He believed me. He looked at me. He said, young lady, I believe in divine interventions. Let's see what we got going on here. And then he started to, doing a lot of tests and things. So I'm grateful for that.
So speaking with your medical provider, Tamika, and you advise the medical provider working for
your information and then
you can't hear.
Okay, go ahead. I can hear you now.
Now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I was saying that could be seen as a obstacle with dealing with your medical provider and being very stern in that reminding them that they work for you and them not working for you, the vice versa. So that was has anyone else on while going through this process?
Lady.
And if you have gone through any obstacles, how did you overcome them?
So I can say this. I had a biopsy when I was 27, and I had a very strong history of breast cancer on my maternal side of the family. I ended up once I had the biopsy, I ended up writing my insurance company and telling them that, hey, I've got all of these issues in my family and I need to have this done to start my mammograms now. And I'll never forget the letter. The first letter I got back, it said, well, your insurance, this type of insurance just does not cover this. And you would have to provide us information that would show that some ladies in your family did have breast cancer. And so I remember getting my grandmother's medical records, and there was no HIPAA like in the early 80s, and I remember getting her medical records and attaching where her diagnosis was to another letter that I wrote the insurance company, and having my mother write a letter too to say, hey, I've got breast cancer and I got breast cancer early. And that's how I started getting mammograms. But remarkably, even after all of that, and I was still getting mammograms, nothing really was done to say, hey, maybe you need to get genetic testing so that we can check to see if you've got the gene or anything. And I ended up at 40. My birthday is in July. My birthday came, and then there was November. I had a baby a year before that, but I'd had 3 miscarriages before my baby. That my birthday was July, that November 11th, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it was almost like they found it, they knew what it was, they saw it. And the sonographer, this girl that was scanning me, was just running around frantic, like, oh my God, she's 40. And I kept saying, okay, so what's wrong? I just can't talk to you. And then she teared up. And at that point, I was like, okay, lady, what is going on? So that went from, I went to get a mammogram at like 9 that morning until 4 that afternoon before my OBGYN doctor said, yeah, it's suspected that you have breast cancer. So there are a lot of obstacles, and I tend to feel bad for ladies that have had some issues in their family, because insurance companies don't like to pay for a mammogram now. But there are some companies, at least there's some organizations here in Alabama that now will pay for mammograms. But when I was diagnosed, they were not doing that. And I'll be 15 in November. So, just some different roads, some different avenues you have to travel through in order to get a mammogram here.
Okay. When you're speaking of obstacles, one of the obstacles that I had to deal with, I spoke of my surgeon earlier. My surgeon is not in the VA system. So when I first got diagnosed, after I went to the breast clinic, and the VA actually sent me there to do my mammogram. So I was diagnosed 9 months after doing a mammogram. So I still have the letter. The letter is like, you're all clear, you're good, and everything. And the next thing you know, I'm like, oh, you have breast cancer. I'm like, okay, so how are we doing this? So many people kind of know what I do for a living. Some people don't, but I have some very good skill sets. And I started to really just like researching a lot of things. But when I first got diagnosed, I went back to the VA. At that time, I was seeing an oncologist simply because I lost my mother to colon cancer in October of 2015. So they were kind of watching me. I had had a surgery in May of 2012, which removed a carcinoid tumor from the colon rectal area. So that was kind of it. It was positive, but not to the point where it's like full blown cancer. Like we need to give you chemo, we need to do radiation. It wasn't at that point. Um, Sometimes cancer is kind of staged differently, as Liz was stating earlier, and depending on the size and the aggression of it, that determines the type of treatment that you're going to get. Sometimes you could be overtreated, so they caution with that as far as like treatment. So anyway, but moving forward, so I'm seeing this oncologist at the VA, and when I'm diagnosed, I take the mammogram, I take all the paperwork that I get from the breast clinic, and I take it to this guy, and I'm like, hey, I've been diagnosed. Well, he doesn't see me at the time that I go to the clinic. He immediately makes an appointment for a surgeon, a breast surgeon. So I'm like, okay, so I just got diagnosed. He didn't talk to me. I'm not seeing a breast, cancer navigator. I'm not talking to this person, but I just immediately go straight to the surgeon. So I meet with the surgeon. He puts the mammogram up and he reads it and he's looking at it. He's like, okay. And he was like, well, my recommendation is that I remove your entire breast. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, are you going to do any other tests? And he was like, no, I don't need to do any other tests. I'm like, but you're just looking at a mammogram. Same mammogram I'm looking at. We're talking about deep tissue that is naked to the human eye, that the human eye cannot see and cannot, just picture. So he's like, no, I don't need to do that. So I looked at him and he was like, yes, but I'm going to take that breast off. And I'm going to be honest with you guys with exactly what I said to him. I said, I don't know who damn breast you taking off, but I promise you it won't be mine. I marched completely out of his office and went straight to patient advocacy. Okay, so I filed this complaint and everything. Next thing you know, the head of surgery is calling me and it's like, oh, well, what's the problem? I said, did you guys, where did he come from? Like, who's cutting somebody's breast off from looking at a mammogram? You're not doing any other tests. You need MRIs, you need pictures, you need a lot of stuff to determine how you are going to move forward with this patient. So after, me and this head is talking and we're going back and forth, so I told myself, I'm going to tell you like this. You got to 3:00 on Friday to make a decision. Because so help you God, if you don't make the right decision, Wavy is always looking for a story. The news is always looking for a story, and I'm going to give them one. I'm going to definitely give them one. So they came back and they agreed. What I was asking for was to be seen outside of the VA. Because if you have a doctor that's going to sit there and conduct a surgery without doing the necessary tests for a surgery like I needed, then it was important to me to have someone that was definitely a better doctor. Because I promise you, if there was anything that I could do to get this guy removed, I would have done it. So I at that time when I went to community care, I had found my own surgeon. I had researched this surgeon. His name is Dr. Dennis Cruff. He's retiring and he was wonderful. He walked me through everything. He talked me through everything that he was going to do. There were meetings. They're called tumor boards. So at the tumor board, they talk about your case, what action they're going to take, what action they're not going to take, what options that they can offer to you, and all sorts of things. And that is the advice that, that I would give to, women, the awareness. You have to really advocate yourself in this journey. You really do. It's very important to do that, because you could, have your breast removed and you don't need that. Or you could be taking medicine and it's like an over treat. You're being treated too much. And some things you just don't need, so you have to really figure it out. And just like Janice just said earlier, it's like you become your own medical professional in this journey. And it is the truth. It really is the truth. So, you have to advocate for yourself. That's the God's honest truth. If I cannot stress anything anymore in this moment, it's advocating for yourself for everything. Definitely your health, because the one thing I'd say, a lot of people don't agree with this statement, but cancer is a money-making monopoly. It's a money-making monopoly. And these companies out here, they're trying to make money. And that's the truth. And like I tell them all the time, I could look many doctors in the eye and was like, oh, you need to take this and you need to take that. No, I'm not taking that. Why? Because I asked the doctor one time, I said, what's your kickback on these pills? Because these pills cost $824 a month. What's your kickback? But you won't make that off of my back. No, not taking that. And be able to say no. Tell them no. Stand firm. Be firm. I'm done now.
I have a question. So when we're all doing our our annual mammograms, and like you mentioned, Tamika, you received a result that said you're all clear. I've gotten those too, and I'm sure other people on listening have teared up at the end of waiting so to get the results and having to do. You said they're clear. You think you're okay until the next year, but you said like a few months later, like 9 months later, you got different results. So how does one? What do you suggest that we do if we're in that same situation? And we can't. I know time is getting near. So we want to touch on that, but then we also want to talk about the as well. Okay.
I know the audio is going. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, because I was out for a minute. But Liz, I wanted to touch on you because you were one of the models in that video that I was unable to play. I wanted to know, do you think that by doing that, first of all, was it self-healing for you? And do you think it helps others?
I know that it was self-healing for me, and I've heard from others that have either seen the website or seen Cherise, the other, either the Grace Project or the Athena Project, and have been told that it's healing for them. So I believe that it is. It was, for me, it was one of the ladies, so Cherise has other ladies that help her and go, we're with her. And they were both, at the time, I was having a lot of breast implant illness symptoms. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole nother crazy topic. But they encouraged me to get, because the doctors don't want to admit it. And they're still, even to this day, I finally was able to get the implant removed. But they still were like, I just wanted to have it removed. They won't admit that it was a breast implant illness that caused the different things. So it's sort of digressing a little, but that's sort of goes to some of the obstacles that you have, but also that it is healing to have, just to talk to other women even that have gone through the different just to be able to talk. And then there was another lady that was photographed with me too. And she was much younger.
Mm-hmm, the younger, yeah.
Yeah, she had younger children and things too. And so it was healing for both of us.
Great. Kimmy, you were saying something. Kimiata? You can't hear me. Kimiata, can you hear me? Okay, I'm not
She
sure.
looks like she's frozen.
I'm not sure what's going on. This internet, probably because it's raining or something somewhere. Okay, Ellen, we haven't heard from you in minutes. Oh, go ahead.
Talk.
She went out again.
She went out again. Yeah.
Yeah, she went out again.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because of weather or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Nothing's working right. Ellen, you're on mute.
You're muted.
You're muted, dear.
Muted.
She don't know she's muted yet. That's okay.
Did she mute herself?
I don't know.
On the bottom, you can see.
Ellen, you are muted.
You're muted.
Okay.
Now.
I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
Gosh, before doing this show, I did some research. I hadn't looked into the VA's protocol for genetic testing, and it seems that they haven't caught up with the civilian world on the genetic testing, and it's still, the legislation is still, they're trying to pass it. Mm-hmm. And so that's I think an obstacle for all military women and veterans, and even men who come from high risk families of breast cancer and ovarian cancer. And so I think I'm glad that Tamika, brought this up and invited me, because I think that's going to be my focus now. Is I didn't realize that the military wasn't testing and the VA wasn't testing for it. And I'm very fortunate that I had private insurance.
Yeah.
So you just gave me another topic to add. So I'm going up to Washington, D.C. next week, and I'm going to sit at the table.
I will be there next week
folks.
too. But I won't.
You're going to be there
to talk about reproductive rights. But guess how I can now tie in the genetic testing with the reproductive rights? I thank you so much for that, because as soon as we finish here, I'm going to get to jotting down my notes for that. But I think I got a way to bring that in.
Good. You can tie it together. Good.
I'm going to tie it together.
I'll be there next weekend. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah, well, I'll be there next week. So I have to be there before you are coming to go to the table. So we're actually, we'll be protesting as well.
Okay.
So it's very busy in Washington.
Which day?
Wednesday.
Okay, I arrive on Wednesday night.
Okay.
So you guys can connect, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another question that I have: Did any of you feel abandoned by family members or friends after your diagnosis?
Yes.
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 Family or friends? Friends.
Family and friends.
Yes.
Family and friends.
For me, since mine was prophylactic, people didn't understand why I wanted to reduce my risk. And I had a lot of criticism and people who didn't want to talk to me anymore about it. And my standpoint was I am a mother of four. My children were still school aged at the time. They were finishing up high school, and I did it for them. And I had family members and friends who didn't understand and were very, very critical of me. And when I did the Athena project, they didn't even like that. They didn't like that more.
Oh, that's a great segue.
But you really figure out who are your people when you go through something like this.
Exactly. You are 100% correct. But the one thing I can say, I remember in the beginning of this journey, my sorority sister, her name is Norma Adamson, and Norma she is an 18-year survivor herself, and she has been right there with me from day one, and I am grateful for that. She said that to me. She said, "Sis, this journey is not going to be easy. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you." She said, "You're going to find people that's going to be there. Those that you thought would be there are not going to be there. Some folks are going to show up and some folks are not. She said, but the thing that you have to hold on to and understand is that God is going to place everyone that you need in your path.
That's right.
God is going to do that for you. So don't get hung up on that. Stay focused on to getting to the other side of this journey. Stay focused on healing from this journey. Stay focused on not being angry about this journey. Because, oh boy, I was angry in the beginning. I'm sure we all were. But the one thing I can say, she's correct. Because look at all of you guys. This journey has brought each and every last one of you into my life. And I think about all of the grace goddesses that I'm going to get to meet, on October the 1st, who has just took this journey. And this wasn't an easy journey. That is something very serious to stand and just reveal yourself. Like, you're taking a picture, like a nude picture, like you're topless. It's not totally nude, but you're half nude.
And you're vulnerable. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That says a lot for us. I did a interview with the news, and it's like I told the reporter, we are so much more than our breasts. We're so much more than our scars. But the thing is, I think telling this story and taking the pictures, we're able to give strength to someone else, to let them know it's going to be okay. Regardless of what happens, it's going to be okay. Like, I have this thing I say all the time, Cancer, you will never win.
That's
no
right.
matter what you do, you will never win.
And I got 2 more questions. We're almost out of time. One question, and I want everyone to answer, starting with Ellen, if you feel like it. How did your family feel about this modeling gig?
Oh gosh. Let's see. My husband and my children we're supportive. They're very supportive, but they know me. I've always been a little different than everybody else. I do my own thing, but other people have been critical. And again, I think it's just a lack of understanding. People didn't understand why I took my breast off, because I had BRCA, and they. Then, there's people, what I discovered as well is there's some cancer survivors who don't like to share their diagnosis at all. They're very private. And so when I was going through my journey, I had a family member who was going through it, who was extremely private, and I'm all out there and sharing it. And I wasn't a survivor, but she was actually dealing with the real diagnosis. And I think it was hard for her. And so I rub people different ways, but yes, overall, my immediate family has been supportive. Good. And I've had a rough road with recovery. I had a bad initial surgery, and I had 3 years of pain, and kind of Liz is talking about, and I just went through another reconstruction. So they've been through a rough road with me, but my immediate family is supportive. Other people, I think, have had enough of me and my boobs.
Cassandra, what about you? How did your family react to you modeling? Okay.
This should mute herself again.
Doesn't want to unmute. Oh, okay.
There you go.
Well, I guess I'm kind of like Ellen. I kind of march to the beat of my own drum, and so everybody we're kind of like, okay, we're not surprised that you did that. You would be the one that would do that. And I mean, I didn't have any issues, and I really think I didn't have any issues because like I said, every female on my maternal side of the family had breast cancer, and so we had been down this road, and I think everybody was more or less like, not again. And so everybody in my family were like, yeah, we know you were going to do that. So everybody was good in my family. But Ellen, I want to connect with you after this, because my 24-year-old son was also diagnosed as having the BRCA1 gene. And it was crazy because he's considered a legal adult, and they told him while he was in undergrad, and he went off the scale, just fell off the earth for like 3 days. And so just some craziness. But anyway, no, I had no issues. Friends were good. Family were good. Everybody was just good.
Okay.
Plus, when I got diagnosed, I was training to run a half marathon. So I trained and went to the gym throughout everything. And I'd start out fast, then I get chemo, and then I go slow. So I had no issues, thank God.
Good. Liz, what about you? How'd your family and friends react?
So my family doesn't even know.
Today, they don't know.
Today, they don't. Today, as of today. They may now if they're watching the show. Because I posted all over Facebook.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's you'll find out soon, right?
I'll find out soon. That's why you saw me moving around earlier, because I went in the room with the door shut.
Yeah, I wonder why it got dark.
Oh, it sure did.
So we'll see. And actually, yeah, we got our pictures. When my pictures came back from Cherise, I actually gave it to another female military member that's holding them for me.
Wow. You like, what am I going to call it? Operation?
It'll be a surprise. Okay, Tamika, how'd your family react, your friends and family react when they found out you were doing this photo shoot?
Me?
Supermodel.
Okay. The first person that I told that I was going to do this was my nephew. And regardless, we're kind of supportive. And he was like, "You're going to do that?" I was like, "Yeah, it's just pictures." He was like, "Okay, what?" I didn't know that in the beginning, the pictures were going to end up being topless. Like, I didn't know that. So
what kind of picture did you take?
I'm driving up to Cherise, right? I'm trying to get to Kingston and then she's like, "Oh yeah, the picture, we're gonna like do a topless picture." I'm like, wow. So I'm on the phone with one of my friends in New York and we're talking, him and I are talking, and I'm like, she wants a topless picture. I was like, oh, I can't do that. And he is the most positive person that I have met in a long time. I don't care how much negativity is going on in my life. He can drag me back and think and make me think about all the positive of the worst situation. It's like he is a peace in the midst of every storm that I am actually having. And he said to me, he was like, "What are you scared of?" I was like, "You talking about my breasts, my boobs? Like everybody, the world is going to see him." He was like, "So what?" He said, "What is it that you actually are trying to do at this point in this journey?" And I told him, I said, "I'm just taking the pictures and being a part of this because I want to help someone. I want to be a beacon of light to someone, and I want to give somebody else hope." He said, "And if that's what you truly want to do in this journey, guess what you need to do? You need to take that topless picture so that you can show the next woman that is in this journey that it's going to be okay."
And I'm glad that you took that topless picture. And now it's 7:00 and we're out of time. I cannot believe it. Half the time we had technical problems. Oh my God. Anyway, I want to thank all of you, particularly my co-host, Kimmy. Thank you so much. I'm going to have you back. I promise the technical issues, at least I hope so, will be better. And I want to thank all of you individually and collectively for being on the show. The portraits are based on Athena, the goddess of courage and war. Are you compelled to continue sharing your woman king status with the world? You can just say yes or no.
Yes. Yes, yeah. I am.
As long as I'm with these ladies, I can do it.
I told you, Ellen, I got you from here on out.
You did.
You guys are my shero. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And please keep in touch. And I want to see, since it's going to be an exhibition, I know it's going to be more photos. So you gotta share.
Okay.
Bless you.
Bye-bye, ladies.
We'll be back next week on Voices of Change, same time at 6 p.m. Thank these ladies. Put a comment in. Don't worry. Just put a comment in. I'll keep it open so we can see the comments and thank them. We thank you for those nuggets. You gave us a lot of nuggets. Self-advocacy. Tell your family and friends. Don't necessarily take that first. That really scared me. When you said that they said everything was good. You know how you get that letter? And then you got one later. That kind of got me a little nervous. I'm just gonna tell you. I'm like,
just listen to your body, though. Your body will talk to you. your body will talk to you. No one knows your body better than you. Just listen to your body.
Ooh, but that kind of worried me. Because, when you get the letter, you go, whew. At least you're hoping and praying, and you're saying 9 months later. Anyway, okay. It has been a blast. I hope you guys had a good time.
Thank you.
And I look forward to keeping in touch because I have all your names and all your email addresses. So you guys be blessed and have a great week. Have fun in DC and you guys connect, okay?
We sure will.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again, Jen.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tamika. Thank you.
Bye, Liz.